Well, we found out a couple of days that Biden has prostate cancer. Um, and, you know, this is one of those stories where, because, we've had different health disclosures about former presidents before, but the reason this is significant is because Biden has only been out of office for not even half a year, and only left office after initially running for a second term before that horrendous debate last year, which convinced everyone, including many prominent Democrats, to get him to step aside in favor of Harris. But really, so just kind of like get this part out the way, regardless of what actions or inactions that Biden took during his term, uh, I hope that he recovers. I despise cancer. There is no political figure that I would want to have that befall them. It is a ravaging disease that I have personally experienced the effects of in terms of losing someone to it. Now that we have that disclosure out of the way, because there are going to be some people, on different websites celebrating, now we have to talk about why this is actually something that not all of them, but a lot of Democrats should be embarrassed about or just ashamed of themselves for having. So, a lot of people who, even the ones that were okay with the idea of voting for Biden again just to stop Trump, really felt from seeing his public appearances, during going all the way back to the 2020 cycle where he was having, obvious memory lapses, that there was something wrong with this man's health. I even said I could not see Biden serving a full 8 years. And in spite of how often in public he would, get his remarks messed up, totally misrepresent something, there were still prominent people in his White House, including his wife, which just shows you how rotten everything is, to where even your spouse is like, yeah, keep propping up that corpse, who were trying to shield him from the scrutiny of how bad his health was getting. And you got to remember that in modern U.S. elections, now I know Biden said that he believed he would win. I don't believe he would have, especially given just how bad that debate performance was and people were turning on him. I think Trump would have defeated Biden in his in this last election cycle if he had run by an even larger margin than what ended up happening with Harris. But what's really scary to think about is if that debate had gone differently. If Biden had somehow made enough public appearances where he appeared healthy enough, to supposedly lead the nation for 4 more years, we could have had a sitting president get cancer and then possibly either have to resign or pass away during their term. And that should scare everyone. That the fact that Biden was forced out of the White House, by virtue of just how bad his health was to like the general public, the onlookers, saved us from possibly getting the first death of a sitting president in over 60 years. And one that was entirely preventable. We don't need to have, and I'm not even like a person that really hyper focuses on age, right? But we don't need to have 60, 70, 80-year-old people vying for the highest office in the land if those around them who crave power and influence so much are going to completely obscure us from any serious health issues that they may have for the sake of retaining those wee bits of power. This has been one of the, I'm not even trying to be funny. Trump's people, I know a lot of them resign really quickly into his, first term. Not so much the second one. That's been an improvement if I'm being objective. But Biden's group needs to go down in history as one of the most shameful, disgraceful, again, not cabinet, set of administration officials in all of U.S. history. how do you have your leader, the person who's supposed to be leading the United States, sick, and not just common cold. Again, the memory lapses. This cancer did not just come out of nowhere. I can guarantee you that. It was probably festering around for the past year, if not, it's something that they very well could have known about during his term. But even if they hadn't have known about it during his term, they're still disgusting for shielding him from public scrutiny. Like, I always think about how, whether you talk about, Wilson's stroke, right, during the closing years of his term, and his wife having to, like, control who has access to him and not, and who doesn't, and just, there are instances in the past, or, FDR's paralysis of presidents having health issues, whatever. But as long as their mind is there, as long as they're not deathly ill, I can, like, kind of see it. But with Biden, his mind was clearly not all there. That's been evident for going back as far as 5 years ago when he was running for president in 2020. And he physically might not have been here by now. Like, there's a possibility that Biden would, if he stayed in the White House under the supposed strain and pressure of the highest office in the land, he could have just passed away during his term, and then all of Harris's people, I guess, be so happy that they got their first woman president by having their oldest one die in office instead of just retiring after realizing that he's too sick to continue. And that's what's so scary about it, that you would rather see this man in a casket than just win an election the fair way. Like, if you want Harris for president so badly, or hell, even to, like, have power, curry favor with the vice president, it's sad that it took a public outcry that included several officials within the Democratic Party to get him to stand aside. It took all those people going, "Hey, old man, you're done, you're finished." And not even just politically, he might have been finished in living too if they hadn't have done that. Oh boy, this is a really just, like, I'm not happy about Biden's health, but I'm also, like, more disturbed by the fact that we narrowly avoided having another presidential death simply because he got on TV one day and he looked just terrible, and people called him out for it. If that debate hadn't have happened, we could have gotten something a lot more tragic for no reason other than just people wanting to keep their influence. And it's a real shame that even the members of his own family, these different staff members who he's had, some of whom going back to when he was senator, from Delaware, they could not bring themselves to sit him down and say, "You cannot remember things. You're sick. You are the oldest man ever elected president." At least he was until, whatever. You have to step down. This is too much. You're going to get yourself killed. It's really sad, because, like, I would hope, if I live to be 70 or 80, which I don't believe, but just as an example, if I live to that age, and it could be just hypothetical, still working, whether it's just a regular job, CEO of some company, whatever, some position where I, like, delegate authority over others. If the people closest to me, my staff, my family, can see that I'm having cognitive declines, I can't remember what I did some years ago, or even, like, certain names of prominent people, I would hope that they would say, "Hey, you not being able to remember these things is going to be a really big deal. It is a big deal. I think it's time you walk away from this. We appreciate your contributions, all the little fluff, right? But the bottom line is, this cannot go on." But they didn't do that. And I don't even like the Republicans at all, right? Because a lot of it was just them being nasty. But they ended up having me agree with them in the sense of Biden had health issues that Democratic officials tried to hide, and they were hoping they could hide it for another, I guess, 6 months until that election was over, and then I guess if he just passed away, then oh well, too bad. We rode the horse for as long as we could, and then when it crashed on us, hey, too bad. This is a really disturbing story. And again, the main thing to take away from here is that the Democratic Party, again, the people in Biden's cabinet that knew he was sick, said nothing about it, all should be embarrassed and have this as like a scandal for the rest of their careers. How hard is it to say, hey, he's not looking good, we need to do something? Oh no, I want to keep my job, so let the old man stay in office until he passes away. Who cares? Just it is disgusting, man. I'm not even a Biden fan, but damn, that makes me feel bad for him.